Maui. We tried to fly over and join her, but we couldn't get tickets quick enough. We had a really great meeting. We had it at Brian Reese's office, and Tracy provided food for all of us. I think she had enough to, we could have brought it probably for breakfast today. So thanks, Tracy and Brian. And the next, oh, and Jim had the dessert.
Yummy.
It was a yummy dessert. And so the next board meeting is on Thursday, August 10th. That's it.
Okay. Thanks, Gary. Appreciate that. And the president-elect report, I guess, is me. Who knew? So one of the things about that spot is we've got to raise the money, you know, for the club so we can, you know, contribute to the community and all these fantastic things. So we had kind of a little short meeting there. One thing to notice is in September, Saturday the 25th is going to be moved back to Friday. So that will happen on a Friday, which I believe is September 24th. And the doors will open at 5:30, starts at 6. And thanks to Jim here and his ways of doing things, we got that date, and we saved $500 or $600 for moving that date out. We kind of thought that's a good savings right there. Plus, people could come after work, and Friday's always good anyhow. So that's kind of what happened there. And then we did have some conversation about price of tickets. I don't know if somebody wants to talk about that a little bit, but so last time the tickets, entrance tickets were $35, and we were kind of thinking about, is that the right amount, or does it need to be $50 or whatever? A lot of places charge a lot. Some places charge $100 to go to some of these things. And then the thought was, well, maybe we just kind of figure out where that ticket price is, and because of the cost of the building, the cost of the food and the wine and a few things like that, is that the number? Or I don't know if anybody has any thoughts on that real quick. Hearing none, the meeting's over. So that's something to think about. We haven't quite dialed that in, but keep your minds open for that. We have Steve Ray, who I think Jim knows quite well. Done a lot of different food venues and events. I think he's dialed in to kind of do the food. The menu is yet, but I've been a couple of his food things. They've been pretty good. The last time. And then, so eventually I will have a list of spots on the finance or the sponsorship kind of a thing that can help out. Michelle, thank you. She's going to do the photography of all the items that we did last time, and Angie's going to be the technical wizard that puts it all together. So we. Right. Okay. Angie, sorry. And then you wouldn't believe what it's like to be up here. And then, so I was going to ask Kevin and Ken if they would do the emceeing and kind of get that good. They did such a great time last year. We could do a repeat of something. And then we have Connor had a great idea, so he's kind of part of that, trying to raise money and talk to sponsors. We have the forum, and then to get sponsorships. So the cutoff is like next Monday, right, Jim? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this weekend. For sponsors. For sponsors.
You get on the ticket, on the
raffle.
The raffle ticket for the coin quest thing, and we're at $11,600 at the moment.
Good.
Still 20, so we're doing pretty well. Good. We gotta keep working at it.
Yeah. We have the raffle get ready to get printed off, and the raffle was $5. You buy one ticket, or you can get $20 to get 5 tickets. So that's and Connor came up with a good idea. He was going to purchase a set of tickets and then go out to Facebook and put a post out there for people to go out and talk about the community and how great the community is and positive things. Then there's an app that will calculate all those people, and then we'll pull someone out of the hat to try and draw more people into the event. So that's pretty cool. He's on board with helping out, trying to dig up the sponsors from past that we haven't seen and things like that. So I think that's probably about it on that. Yeah, Angie, there's a couple of different, areas that we'll ask for people to help out on. Any questions?
About the idea for Facebook. Sorry.
You guys, it's rubbing off.
You know, they never know.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Hi, I have a question. Can you hear me? Can I know that we want to, my understanding is that the more sponsorships that we can get from Lake Stevens, the better. But I also have some individuals, some business owners in Everett that I think I may utilize as sponsors. Can I go ahead and do that too?
Absolutely.
We take that effort. Yeah, that's right.
No amount is too large.
Okay, thank you.
Great.
Hey, Chris. Did you talk about the date change?
Yes, we did.
Awesome.
About that. Friday the 24th, doors open at 5:30 again, and the event was started 6 to 9. Thanks, Michelle. You have, just gotta follow the agenda for Gary. So, committee reports. I have the club services with Keith.
Oh, good.
Good. Can you shorten it up? We only got so many minutes.
Sorry, didn't mean to go long.
And then, I think he's probably gonna be looking for breakfast sponsors. So a question came up about breakfast, and I don't know if the school district's ready for that yet or not, or, you know, so, okay. Yeah, it might be months until we get through the whole, so. Okay, community services, I don't know, Brian's here, I think he's here.
But along community service, if anybody's able to help out the food bank with a food drive, they need people to man, it's at Tom Thumb, 2-hour shift. On Saturday, they need people from 2 o'clock to 8 o'clock p.m. And on Sunday, they need people from 10 o'clock to 8 o'clock p.m. So if anybody's willing to help out the food bank, they are in desperate need this year because of all of the demands on the food bank. And they'd love to have people help out. So if you're interested, please let me know and I can let Susan know.
Okay, thank you for that. Then foundation, Jim.
Foundation's great, but I have something else.
Okay, good.
So on Saturday, the 24th of July, we're doing a fireworks show, and there's also a boat parade. And the theme is Vikings. So we're gonna try to get March's boat, and he said fine. So we just need to get a group of 6 or so people to dress up as Vikings, and we'll fix up the boat like we have in the past, and tour around the lake, and we're gonna win every prize there is.
July
24th.
All right.
So who's interested in doing that? That's what day is that? Saturday? Yeah.
Angie will be in costume, I
Yeah,
guess. It's
Lori,
on the
are
calendar.
you interested?
I'm just double checking here. Yeah, what time is it?
7 o'clock.
Oh, yeah, I can do that.
Yeah,
Gary, you ready?
Yep, I'll do it.
All right.
I might do it.
You might?
It might stop working.
Yeah, I'll be down there if there's room.
Yes, Mr. President.
Elect.
I have one other thing.
Okay, yeah.
This coming Wednesday, from, I think it's 5 to 7, and Chris, you can, yell in if you want, Jacobson, from, the Food Bank Building Committee is having a, fundraiser at Rusty Corks Wine, Bar. And, this is kicking off the campaign to, get into phase 2 of the food bank, construction program.
Yeah, Gary, you're right. 5 to 7 on the 14th.
And I'll put more information on the website, for our website, because it is a community thing, and our Rotary Club has been involved with the food bank, and we've got money set aside, and we're gonna grant, a district grant for that, so, we'll put something up.
Thank you. So Jim, where's everybody gonna meet at on the 24th?
Mark,
Right. So then, we have international services with Tracy.
Yes, they just recently went back to, Copan in June. The schools, they're trying to get them back in the classrooms with the teachers. They did a phenomenal job over the last year and a half of students gathering around a single phone to do lessons or, students learning on their own. So excited to get them back in the classroom. There was an IPA newsletter that went out. I just looked at it myself. Did everybody get one? Or
I do, I get it.
got one? You get one? Okay. I will forward that to the rest of the club, and it's just really pushing education for those kids to get them a better education is it. I believe in education.
Yeah.
So, anybody who wants to still sponsor a student, they have plenty to sponsor, high school or grade school. So, I'll read the newsletter when it comes around. That's also the Peace Arch. Okay, yes, check the Peace Arch Journal as well for more information. Thank you,
You're
Mr.
welcome.
President-elect.
Thank you. So we have, member, Ron's here, then we have vocational services with Lance.
So vocational services, our scholarships, I sent Lori the list of the students, the colleges that they're attending, the addresses, and the student ID numbers. So, we are ready to send those out, and Lori's got time.
Okay.
Get my check writing hand well warmed up.
Yeah, there you go. Then, Interact, anything?
We're on break, but I've been trying to get a hold, Diego did come down and help at the booth a little bit with me. But.
Okay. And then Scouts, they seem to be doing well. I know the troop's gonna try and go, their troop is probably doubled. I don't know, there's like, maybe 16 now from like when they started with like 5 or 6. So that's growing, more people joining with that, and they're gonna go to summer camp. I think the troop is splitting out to 2 different summer camps, so that's kind of cool. They just seem to be flourishing, so.
Which camps do they go to, Chris?
So I think half of them are gonna go to Fire Mountain. The other half are thinking about Merriweather, which is I've been to, it's a really great campus on the ocean over by Tillamook, Oregon. So it's really a cool spot over there. And there's up off the beach, there's like a lake up there, and there's like a longhouse and the whole thing. It's really awesome up there. I haven't been there for a long time, but so anyhow. And then Angie, public relations.
Not much to report yet. I've just taken it over from Michelle recently, so, but I can take the food bank fundraiser and post it out to our Facebook page to help get it, mentioned, and then, relatively soon.
You want me to send you a link?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then relatively soon, probably look for a new, Zoom
Oh, yeah.
login as we transition off of Ken's account and onto a Rotary account.
Yeah.
So that'll be in the next week or so as we get that going.
Is Club Runner up and running? I've tried to get into it a couple
Yeah.
times. Okay.
Should be.
If you still have problems, let me know, and we'll see what's going on. You might have to go in and rechange a password or something.
Okay. Did you want to sidebar anything about the food bank?
Oh, sure. Well, we're moving dirt.
Woo!
Yep. The pile's significantly smaller. Getting the utilities and the site work done. I'm sure we got another month of, that, and then we're gonna relook at our budget and
you know, of course, with building prices going way up and down, so we don't really even know what it's gonna cost us. So it's, everybody's gonna be updating the bids in the next week or so now that it's going down again. And, yeah, so we're moving along.
Good.
Need a bunch more money, though.
So it's kind of a phase thing, so they're doing the site prep, the dirt work, and then they're gonna take.
Yeah, we got a phase 1 and phase 2,
Okay.
correct, yeah. Yeah, we won't be able to get everything done that we needed in the first phase, just because of dollars and cents, but.
The thing that I noticed when I drive by, I've seen the plans, but the plans, it feels like an enormous place. But
It is, it's 10,000 square feet.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
doesn't seem like there's 10,000 square feet in front of that lagoon and the market there.
Yeah, it's gonna fill it up pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not gonna be a ton of parking there, and,
Drive
you know,
through.
then part of the deal to get the donated land is, you know, Trestle Station gets a little of that parking as well.
And so we're gonna, Sergeant of Arms. Sergeant of Arms.
He can't hear, he's got so much hair over his ears.
So we're gonna start in just a minute. Rochelle, you there? Rochelle?
Yep. I'm here.
If you wanted to say anything, you know, so.
Good morning. Aloha.
Aloha.
I'm still waking up. It's 4 o'clock here in the morning. So I'm still waking up, and I'm so thankful that you were able to do this for me this morning, Chris. Thank you.
No problem, that's okay, anytime. So, Lori?
Okay, couple things is I do have my Square on my phone, so if you want to pay your dues, if you haven't paid for the banquet yet or anything like that, I'm ready to take your money easy. I can take your money so easy.
I can do it too.
Yeah, there's that. And then as I was going through the box that Chris gave me, there's a charger here, like a laptop charger. So if anybody's missing a laptop charger, maybe I have it. That's it.
Okay. Great. All right, so now we'll have DJ do the policing.
Excuse me, I was busy paying my dues.
Good.
So I did not hear what you said.
Okay, so I guess we're gonna do the raffle tickets and do all that.
Come on, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Where is the stuff? There it is.
And don't forget, we've got these fine people here too to deal with.
So, how much time do we want for our speakers?
Speaker?
Hannah, how much time do you need? I think around 15 minutes, depending on if there's questions.
Okay, how about 20?
All right, sounds great.
How about 30?
That'll save us some money.
Yeah, exactly.
$097.
Oh, man.
Early bird.
097, who's got it?
Who?
Keith.
The odds are
Just behind
extremely
me.
high.
I should have let him
There's
go.
only 7 of them in there, your eyes are someone other than Lauren.
Yeah.
No.
And do we have anybody here that works for the school district today?
Anybody that works for school district?
Did you raise your hand?
You raise your hand?
Well, I'm gonna need $1 from you.
That's okay.
Now, according to my iPhone, which I consider to be accurate in these matters, it is 7:57. However, the clock says 8:30. Well, we don't leave till he rings that bell. So I'm gonna need $1 for the school district. And how could a school not have accurate clocks?
No, I can't tell you that.
You know, the kids will be running all over the place, they'll be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Well,
Okay.
I was just gonna say, the
Thank you.
teacher excuses the student, not the bell.
Yeah.
And Eileen, I'm gonna have to find you $1.
Why?
What
I do?
Well, you did slide your car into the Rotarian of the Year. And your parking spot in time before the start of the meeting.
Okay.
But you didn't know you were supposed to, so.
Can I pay it? I'd be honored.
No, I'll pay it. I got it too. Well, thank you. So we got you guys, thanks.
That's the only one I pay.
The beat Gary back, he was trying to put that T-bird in that spot. He thinks it's still your spot.
So what's your point?
I never have a point. You know that.
We know that.
Very pointed, though.
Here, so, what time is it actually now?
7:59.
7:59.
All right, well, we need time for Happy Bucks, so I'm just gonna find everybody $1, and otherwise, let's do Happy Bucks.
I have a happy 5. My husband has worked for Boeing for 30 years, and he finally went to first shift today. And then he got designated for the week. I also
You're happy about
yeah, happy $1. Happy Bucks too for our lovely speaker, Hannah, who I adore.
There's my 5, and there's a happy 5. Anna, good, board meeting last night, Rochelle, we got out in an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks to Brian for the spot.
Yep.
And I'm just happy it's Friday.
I'll redonate my 5. Be happy.
All right.
There you go.
Thank you.
It's fine, and thanks for all the sponsorship help.
Thank you. Sir?
I'm happy to see all my Rotary friends in person. I guess I've missed a couple Happy Bucks over the last year, so there you go.
All righty.
I put it at 5, but I'll put, or, sorry, but I want to give the other 4 to Kristen. Way to go for all your work.
Yeah.
There's some signs and some happies. Yesterday's mom's birthday, and Chris has done a great job as treasurer. I've been trying to go over everything and pick up where he left off, so thanks, Chris, for 3 years as treasurer.
Yeah. I'll tell you a short story. The man in the back there, Warren, talked to me like 4 years ago about being the treasurer, and I'm like, no way. It was like the greatest experience ever. You know, I learned QuickBooks and how to do different things, and you learn a lot about the foundation, the different accounts, the endowments and all that, which was sort of foreign and a nonprofit for me, but, you know, most business stuff's a little bit different, so I'd like to thank you, Lauren, for that.
So there's the fine, and then there's $1 for my, granddaughter was in town over the 4th of July weekend from Tucson, and we got to meet her new boyfriend. I grilled him.
Good.
My NRA, shirt on and my sharpshooter shirt on.
It's hilarious.
Now, wait a second. Are you putting that 5 in?
Yes, I am.
Well, one of those 5 is fine.
Yes, I know that.
Fine you because you're a Rotarian. But you can skate on the fine. If you transfer your Rotary membership.
Well, I'm considering it, but I'm not making the decision yet.
Oh.
So I'm happy to be here.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yeah, you got my 5.
Well, but do it, yeah.
Sorry, how are you? I know I should know better.
That's good. All right, Chris, I got 3, that's my fine,
Okay.
a couple happy dollars, because it's Friday.
There's a couple of Happy Bucks for Friday and a great crowd, and we gotta remember, you know, we've gotta start raising money, so we can give it away. All right.
Did I miss anybody? Sure. Oh, yeah. Where are those people? People on the screen. You owe $1. You owe $1, and is anybody happy?
Check that out.
Hey, I'm happy. It's Kendra here, and I have some happy bucks. We're flying to Alaska tonight, so hope for good weather up there, and Good times.
Nice.
Who else?
Anybody else on the screen?
Screen people.
So
Please.
I'll go in. I'm happy. How much is my fine? $1?
$1.
$1. I'll take the $1 and then I'll give you another $10. I'm super excited to hear this presentation today. This is a great topic for us and I'm looking forward to it. So I'll put a 10 in for Hannah.
Anybody else?
I'll throw in a butt to, the other Chris, who's not here, but the school district IT guy for helping us get everything set up this morning. Yeah.
Chris,
The other
he
Chris.
was
Yeah.
He's Chris one, because he's.
Chris one and Chris two. Chris three is on the screen.
Hey,
Yeah.
so this is Chris Jacobson, and I want to put in some happy bucks. This is specifically directed to love my Rotary peeps, love my realtor peep even more. I just have to say, you want to buy a property, hire Rochelle. She is a bulldog, and in a market that is not suitable for a buyer, we are actually in a power position thanks to her. So $10 for Rochelle for all that she's done for me and my family. Thank you so much.
That's so nice. Thank you. I'll double that.
Perfect.
Anybody want to triple it? All right, anybody else? Well, thank you all.
Thanks. So our speaker today, I think Eileen's going to introduce the speaker today. Thank you, Hannah.
Nice job, Chris, you did it.
Ready to go for next year.
I'm super excited to introduce to you Hannah Meyer, who is a speech-language pathologist with Sherwood Community Services. Hannah is a proud queer, non-binary person who has been committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion work for the past 10 years. She serves as commissioner on the City of Mountain Lake Terrace Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Commission, and has been involved with Sherwood DEI Committee for the past 2 years. Ladies and gentlemen, Hannah Meyer. Everybody, you guys are a fun group. We know. Cool. I'm just checking out the names because I don't know who all is on. Okay, so that answers my question about where the camera is. It's a technology setup. So I'm going to kind of break terminology in the LGBTQ plus community down for you as much as possible. This is a safe place to ask questions. Feel free to interrupt me. I really want to make sure that we get these concepts. Some of them are really challenging, especially if it's your first time being introduced to these concepts. So think of it overall as 4 main categories. So you have a sex assigned at birth. Sex is different than gender. You have gender identity, and then you have gender expression and sexual orientation. So sex assigned at birth is generally based on your physical characteristics or maybe chromosomes, but there is some ambiguity in that as well. I believe it is 1 in 100 to 1 in 200 people at birth are considered intersex, and that's the new terminology is intersex, and they cannot be assigned male or female at birth. And that's actually a really large percentage of babies that are born that way. And then gender identity is basically who you feel that you are. So your sense of being male or female or neither or both or anything kind of along the spectrum. Gender expression is how you express yourself. So that could be how you dress, how you wear your hair, or how you move your body, your mannerisms. And then sexual orientation is who you fall in love with and who you're sexually attracted to. So all of these things are different categories, and you can have one sex and it can be different than your gender identity. You can have 4 different identities in these categories. Does that make sense so far? It's complicated. I do have visuals. My favorite visual, the gender red person. I love that. Lance and Eileen have seen this before. So gender-red person specifically, because it is non-gendered, this applies to all people. So gender identity is your sense of womanness, manness, neither, both. So that's in your brain. I love the little rainbow brain. Gender expression is your femininity and masculinity. It could be neither, it could be both, it could change from day to day. For me, for instance, it does. Not everybody, but that's okay. And then sex is your anatomical sex. That's generally used more for medical reasons at this point. You wouldn't necessarily ask someone their sex, but you could say, what are your pronouns? And you could get a sense of their gender identity that way. So all of these things are very, very different. And then at the bottom, we have sexually attracted to and romantically attracted to. That's your heart, which I think is a lovely little visual. If you really want to get into terminology, sexual attraction and romantic attraction can be different, but I'm not really going to touch on that too much. So think of these 4 overall characteristics as being different. Everybody kind of understand that concept so far? All right, I'm just going to close this and look at my notes. Let's see. Oh, I used the term assigned sex at birth.
Hannah, I got a text from the folks that are watching Zoom. Can you talk just a tiny bit about this?
Absolutely. Oh, sorry. So funny. Normally I'm too loud. Okay, so the term assigned sex at birth, that is, it's a term that's used generally because your sex is not chosen. It is assigned to you by someone else. So it could be as simple as, you know, you are assigned this sex because I feel that you are. So it's not necessarily a personal characteristic. It's something that people put on you. You might see the abbreviation AMAB or AFAB, assigned male at birth, assigned female at birth. Those terms are used more than, in the transgender community, more than like FTM, female to male, and things like that. Those are kind of going away at this time. And it makes it challenging because the terminology is always changing as we learn more. But you just kind of have to make use of Google and see what applies. All right. So, gender and sex are very different concepts. So you can be, for instance, okay, I'll just give an example. So I identify as queer, so that is my sexual orientation, okay? And my gender identity is non-binary. My gender expression is pretty much feminine. And then my sex, I was assigned female at birth. So I have 4 different identities in these 4 different areas. I'm seeing nodding, so that sounds good. Lots of different cultures have categories well beyond just the gender binaries, a female and a male. There are many, many cultures that recognize a 3rd gender or many, many genders. So it's a very ethnocentric viewpoint to think that there are only 2 genders. Let's see. Oh, gender is a social construct. That is a term that you're going to hear quite a lot. And the idea is who decides what is female or male or masculine or feminine. We've just decided as a group that, for instance, trucks are masculine and dolls are feminine. Why couldn't we switch it? For instance, pink used to be the assigned color for boys at birth, and blue used to be the assigned color for girls at birth. We just decided to switch it as a society at some point because there's no true reason for that. It's just a social construct. Oh, and gender can be very culture specific. So in many other cultures, things that are seen as feminine in our culture are very masculine. For instance, in, is it okay?
Yeah. Is this advancing?
Not yet, no.
Okay.
I was looking at my notes on
Got it.
Yeah.
Relax.
It was good for me. I appreciate it. So I believe it's in several Middle Eastern cultures. It's very common for men to hold hands with their friends or even sit on the laps of their friends. My wife used to live in Morocco, and she talked about the culture shock she experienced seeing men in cafes sitting on each other's laps with their close friends. Here we go. Oh, very gay. Very, very feminine. It would not be something that we would see here. But that's the norm there. So it's very fluid, gender fluid. Let's see. Oh, examples of sexual orientation categories. So I use the term queer. but we usually hear gay, lesbian, bisexual, trans, pansexual. There's many, many categories, and it's a very individual identity. So if someone uses a term that you're unfamiliar with, it's absolutely okay to go, I'm not familiar with that term. Can you explain that for me? Maybe not if they're in a hurry, kind of read the situation, you know, normal rules apply. But it's absolutely okay to go, pansexual. Now, I'm not quite sure about that one. Absolutely fine. Okay, before I move away from the visual, any questions? Yeah.
Okay, what's pansexual?
Oh, okay, I did set you up for that one.
Unless you're in a hurry.
You are listening, thank you. So pansexual, kids are using now, you're attracted to people across genders. So gender is pretty much irrelevant to you. You're attracted to the person, and it is recognizing that there are more than two genders. So there's a little bit of a generational divide in people that use this term. So for instance, my wife uses the term bisexual. We're pushing 40, you know, we're kind of old school, but kids nowadays will use pansexual a little bit more. So there's some overlap in those identities. Does that sound good? Any other questions? I can always go back to that visual if you need. It's so handy. And you can always just Google genderbread person. There's also a genderbread unicorn, which gets way more complex. Do you feel ready for that? But who doesn't love unicorns, right? All right, so here are some nice terms and definitions. So asexual, that's another one that can be really varied. You can have no sexual attraction to another person. You can have limited sexual attraction to other people. Just kind of depends on the person. Bisexual, attracted to both men and women. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you only believe in the gender binary. It just could be that that's the term that feels right for you. Gay, attracted to people of the same sex or gender. Heterosexual or straight, people attracted to people of the opposite sex. Lesbian is a woman or female identifying person who is attracted to women or female identifying people. Pansexual, there you go. And queer, this is my favorite personally. It's an umbrella term for people who are not heterosexual. So it's, I have bits of multiple romantic attraction in my identity. So for me specifically, I can find myself attracted to people who have an understanding of a queer identity and what it means to live as a queer person, an out queer person, a visibly queer person in our society because we have a shared experience.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What's the difference between sex and gender?
Yeah, absolutely. So, sex.
To the chart.
Yes, exactly. Sex is basically something that is assigned to you at birth. It's more of your anatomy. It's not an individual identity. It's more of a medical term. Yes. And gender is your feelings about yourself. Yeah. 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 Good question. I love that. Yeah, and it's really important to understand that to get all of the other concepts. So if we went back to those first four main categories, so we are on sexual orientation right now. Does that make sense? So this is just one of the four main categories. All right. Any other questions about these terms? I love getting questions.
What's non-binary?
That is a great question. So that is a person who feels that they are neither male nor female, or they could be both, or their gender identity could fluctuate from day to day. Yeah. And their sense, the definition of that can change a little bit from person to person, but that's the overall feel of that. I know it's a little wishy-washy, but when you're talking about people, you know, nobody fits perfectly in a box. Yeah. All right. Gender identity. Okay, so we're away from sexual orientation and onto gender identity, which is different than sex. Okay, everybody following? Okay, so cisgender or cis, those are people whose gender identity or their sense of themselves matches the sex they were assigned at birth. So generally it's used as an opposite for the term trans or transgender. Most people, I would say, fall in the cisgender category. Man or male, I think we all have a good sense of that. Woman or female, we have a good sense of that. One thing that I want to point out, though, is if someone says they are male or if someone says they are female, you don't get to choose. they are who they say they are. That's the point of gender. Their identity is them. Their sex is a medical definition, and that can be a little bit different. Sorry, I can be a little forceful with that. But recognizing someone's gender identity can save lives. There are kids, there are adults who are committing suicide at alarming rates because the world does not recognize who they are, and it's incredibly difficult. I believe it's upwards of 60% of trans people have attempted suicide at one point in their lives, which is an astounding statistic. And we have the power to change that just by changing our terminology and opening our minds a little bit. It's incredible that we can do such a small thing that can make a big difference. Okay, so genderqueer, non-binary, NB, which is an abbreviation for non-binary, NB. I think it's adorable. I think that's more like teenagers, early 20s are using that. It's really fun to watch the language change with the different generations. I love language as a speech therapist, so I love it. It's so neat to see. I mean, when I first came out over a decade ago, you pretty much had bi, gay, and lesbian. And then I remember having a conversation with a friend in college and going, what is queer? I don't understand. And now here I'm like, yes, that fits me. I get it. So it's just really fun to watch the language evolve and see how new words can pop up, and it just kind of clicks for other people. Okay, so these terms, genderqueer, non-binary, NB, and gender fluid, tend to be used somewhat interchangeably. Basically, if someone uses one term, copy their use of the language. So, okay, you identify as genderqueer. I will call you genderqueer. This is one case for copying each other. And agender is generally used for people who do not identify with any gender. And that is generally viewed as different than non-binary because you don't have a sense of gender if you're agender, but you do have a sense of your gender if you're non-binary. It just may change or may not fit society's exact definition. So these are getting to be a little more complex concepts. Everybody following okay? Okay. And no more text from anybody online saying you can't hear me? No? Okay. All right. And then trans or transgender. Usually we use the term trans at this point because it's a little bit more inclusive. I don't think that there's anything wrong with saying transgender at this point. But the previous terms, I'm not going to say them, are generally used as slurs. And, you know, T ending in Y, we don't say that. That's really, really offensive and hurtful. Those sorts of terms are very hurtful, so we try to avoid those. So people who do not identify with the sex they were assigned at birth are generally considered to be trans or transgender. And sometimes genderqueer, non-binary individuals can fall under this. Some people don't necessarily feel that way. There's a lot of overlap between identities. Okay, so if we went back to the beginning, we did sexual orientation, we did gender. Everybody following? All right. All right, pronouns. This is the opportunity we have to change what we're doing to make things better for people. So a pronoun is, in the grammatical sense, a word that takes the place of a person's name in a sentence. So she, her, they, them, his, he, all of those words. Those are the most common pronouns, and in our language, they're very, very gendered. So a lot of times people who are non-binary or agender or trans may use pronouns other than he or she. So for instance, at the beginning of the presentation, I had my pronouns listed. I use she, her, and they, them. They're all fine for me. Some people feel very, very strongly and will be really hurt if you use the wrong pronoun for them. There's a difference between making a mistake and doing it on purpose. If you make a mistake, you can absolutely recover from that. We're going to get there in a second. We also don't use the term preferred pronouns. We just say, these are your pronouns, because it's not just preferred, it's who you are. You know, there's a difference between, you know, I prefer my hair parted on the right. I prefer my hair parted on the left. There's a difference between that and who you are as a person. You can't assume a person's pronouns based on their appearance. For instance, I have never, ever had anyone assume that I use they, them pronouns. Never in my life. You don't know. So that's why it's polite to ask. So For instance, I said, introducing myself, hi, I'm Hannah. My pronouns are she, her, they, them. Great. Most people aren't going to do that unless you make it clear that it's a safe place to do that. So one way you could do that is on Zoom, for instance, you can list your pronouns in parentheses under your name. If you have a name tag, you can write it underneath your name tag. There's pronoun stickers with your Rotary badges. You can put pronoun stickers underneath. Or if someone doesn't introduce themselves with their pronouns, so for instance, like a gender neutral name like Taylor, so you can go, oh, my pronouns are she, her, they, them. What are your pronouns? That's a very polite way to ask. Instead of going, are you a man or a woman, or that feels really intense, it's way more polite to go, what are your pronouns? Easy peasy. One of those things, though, it takes some practice to kind of get through smoothly. So practice it with a friend. You know, get those giggles out, get that like awkward feeling out of the way, and just get to a point where you can smoothly go, okay, my pronouns are she, her, they, them. What are yours? It takes some practice, and that's okay. Some people don't use pronouns at all. They just ask if their name be used, which can feel a little bit clunky, but that's another thing. You got to practice, and it'll just kind of flow easily enough. Any questions about that? Okay, so singular they. So for instance, I use they, them. So a singular they is for one person rather than a group of people. It's actually very grammatically appropriate. It's been used for many, many years. And if you don't know a person's gender, you go, oh, somebody left their keys on the table. We have to get them back to them because we don't know their gender. These are things that we're already doing. It's just kind of a matter of doing it a little bit more intentionally. It's okay to make mistakes, but the key is how you recover from those mistakes. You want to avoid making it about you. So you just kind of want to simply go, I mean she, I mean them, and carry on, rather than making a big deal out of it and derailing the conversation, because those sorts of things happen over and over and over every day for many people, and it gets to be a lot to deal with. And you don't want to put the pressure on the person whose pronouns, or who was misgendered, the person whose pronouns you made a mistake with, to apologize for the situation or try to like fix an awkward situation. It's on you to just kind of smoothly go, she, I mean he, and carry on. Which it can feel bad. Like I can think of a couple of friends who have transitioned, and when we were first getting used to pronouns, I made a mistake, and it still is one of those things I'm embarrassed about, but I just corrected and moved on. Any questions about correcting pronouns?
I tell you, I haven't thought about pronouns in a long time.
This is another thing. It makes sense in my line of work. I work on pronouns a lot. Yeah, it just makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Yeah, and if you want to know about nouns and verbs, I'm here for you too. Like, adverbs, yeah.
I do think this world of Zoom has opened this up
Yes.
for many of us, with people posting their pronouns.
Yeah, that's the first place I ever did it. Yeah. Yeah, it's been really neat. All right, so email signature line is another great place to put your pronouns. It's basically a way of saying, hey, you're safe here. I'm going to be somebody who has your back. When I see someone with pronouns in their email signature line or their Zoom, I'm like, oh, okay, we're going to be all right. I know that we're going to be safe. This person is going to support me, and I can be myself. It's a simple thing you can do that makes a big difference for a lot of people. All right. And it's okay to get creative with your pronouns and where you put them. Some people put them on their desk. Some people put them on a sign on their door, whatever works for you. So terms and words to avoid, basically anything that dehumanizes a person. So we don't want to say something like it, because that is for an object, not a person. There are other terms like homosexual. We don't really use that term. Even in research, we use words like men who have sex with men or women who have sex with women, because this has basically become almost a slur in our society. All right, and if you have any other questions about specific terms, feel free to ask me. I just don't want to.
What was the slur in our society?
Oh, a slur, homosexual.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I thought you said.
Yeah, it's one of those things, it kind of makes alarm bells go off. You're like, oh, you must not be a safe person kind of thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Can you share about the dead names?
Ooh, yes, thank you for bringing that up. So dead name, a dead name is a person's name before they transition, and it is a dead name because it is dead. It should not be used. It should not be used when you're talking about that person in the past. You shouldn't be saying, oh, my friend Michael, I mean Mary, or, you know, you just don't use that name. Even if you're talking about a past memory, like, oh, you know, back when Michael and I went to the beach, you know, even if it was 10 years ago before they transitioned, that name is gone because it doesn't reflect who they are as a person. They have chosen their name that reflects who they are. Is that, yeah, okay. And you see it a lot actually in the media. The media should know better. There are guidelines about why you should not use a person's dead name in the media. So for instance, Elliot Page, I can't remember his, I can't remember his dead name, but I see it a lot in the media, unfortunately. It's like Elliot Page, who used to be blah, blah, blah. He's the actor who was in Juno. Yeah. All right, any other questions? Told you guys I could talk, sorry. All right, well, thank you guys. I really appreciate it.
Can I sneak in one last question?
Yeah. Okay, so let me start with, you said the name badge?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the ZE, what's?
That is another gender neutral pronoun. I have not seen this one commonly used lately. Some people do use ze and zir as their pronoun. It's a little unfamiliar. Basically, if someone uses that, they're probably going to tell you and tell you how to use it. Yeah, I don't think I've ever met anyone who uses it. That was something I saw more back in the 90s. I don't know if it's kind of faded away. Yeah. Yeah, good question. Okay, so who was it online that was asking a question?
Hey, it's Hannah, is it right, Hannah? This blows me away, being part of Rotary and my grandparents being part of Rotary, that we are having this awesome discussion. Thank you so much for whoever set this up, about such a relevant issue, and a relevant issue to our youth particularly. I get educated every day by my kids. And this has helped me to kind of pull it all together. And when I was in school, everything was he. All the pronouns were he. Even stuff you didn't know what it was, well, it was always a he pronoun. And now I'm completely confused again. But yeah, my third grade English teacher is probably going, no, that won't work. That isn't right. But I think having this warm space here at Rotary where you feel so comfortable to talk about it. And I love the fact that my fellow Rotarians have jumped in and asked questions. And I'm sure these are hard topics for a lot of folks. And I just want to thank you. This is amazing.
Thank you guys for having me. This is really huge. This is awesome. I love Rotary.
Well, thank you. It was very
Thank
enlightening you.
you.
And everything. And
Yeah.
actually, I don't have it here, but it's like a certificate in your name for the Dolly Parton
Dolly Parton, I love
library.
her.
Yeah.
That's
so,
awesome. Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And if there's anything else, I guess the meeting's adjourned. Did I forget something? Okay, good.
Ring the bell.
Ring the bell. Meeting adjourned.
When you're 2 minutes late, expect to find next week.
Really? Hey.
Thanks though, Chris.
Yeah. Thanks for the technical stuff over here.